most of the positive and negative things you hear about Barstool is around the community. And it's no different. Sports, whatever it may be, celebrities like Bieber, whenever you have a fanatical fan base, it will make waves both ways. I have a million superstitions, but they're all on the fly. There's nothing I go into the game. Whether people like me or hate me, I've almost never heard anybody say, Dave's a liar, or Dave doesn't tell the truth, or Dave's not straight. And one of the more interesting people, and I can't tell positively or negatively, that I've met in a while.
I'm your host, Jason Raznick, founder of Benzinga, a leading platform in the financial world with the mission to level the playing field for individual investors. And this is the Raz Report podcast, where we share inspiring stories, expert advice, and exclusive perspectives to keep you ahead of the ever-changing world of investments and entrepreneurship. Let's dive into the show.
We're here with the new king of all media, Dave Portnoy. Started his business from his parents' basement, handing out newspapers on subways, to getting the highly regarded Churning Group to invest, and then selling to Penn, and then becoming Davey Day Trader, and then becoming the most talked about guy in finance. The guy doesn't stop. There's nothing Dave Portnoy can't do, because everything he touches turns to gold. Dave, can you touch me? Just kidding.
Yeah, knock on wood to keep that streak going.
It's totally true. Reading your story, it is unbelievable. Back in the day when you were starting this business, did you have a vision that it could be this big thing?
No, so I mean, and I've told a bunch, but when I started it, I really just hated my job. I had a sales job. I was working for a company called Yankee Group, a lot of cold calling, then moving to outside sales. And the economy was very good, and then it turned.
Were you good at the cold calling, by the way?
Yeah, it was spectacular. I was very good at sales. I knew how to kind of game the system a little bit, but yeah, I was.
When you say game the system, you knew what leads to calling?
Yeah, how to call. I didn't mind calling people, and I guess just getting, for inside sales, a lot of it's numbers, but I would even have to hit my numbers, I'd call my friends and stuff like that just to get the numbers up. But yeah, I was pretty good at sales. And I had a good territory and a lot of things, I guess, but I was good at that job and was making more money than I thought. It was like 80 grand, I think, a couple of years out of college was a lot for me. But no, I always knew I wanted to try my own thing. So like I said, when I graduated, the economy was great. Then towards the end of my time at Yankee Group, it really turned and people were getting laid off, and I always knew I wanted to try my own thing. But I would have been happy making 60 grand a year working for myself.
Yep. And I figured you must have been good at sales because when you started this company, you were out, once you had a newspaper printed, you were outside like Boston arenas, handing out newspapers. But what you said is you were yelling at the top of your lungs. You were competing with everyone else, and you didn't give a shit. Is that
yeah, and
accurate?
that wasn't even sales. I mean, I guess to a degree it is. That was just getting people to read the newspaper. So
you have to have balls to do that.
Yeah, right? I don't care. I mean, it was a business, and I wanted to be successful. I didn't want to go back to 9 to 5. I was willing to do whatever I had to do that. And so I would, like you said, I would stand outside newspaper stations, subways, handing out my newspaper, competing versus all the other people doing it. And when I wasn't doing that, I'd be on the phone trying to sell ads. That was basically my life.
I mean, that is unreal. I mean, this guy, Aaron, who missed his flight this morning, I said, why don't you ask people to go ahead in line? He's like, I didn't want to make anyone mad at me.
Weirdly, I feel the same way. And I will never ask to cut a line at an airport because it's like that's on me for being late. Yep. So, if you don't want to cut line, like I get furious when people do that. It's like you're only asking because you screwed up. Now, what did you screw me up? So I actually have your back there.
Okay, have you ever missed a flight?
I've missed flights in Nantucket because I didn't have it, so I have a place there, but it basically the person who takes your ticket also then works the plane, so that became an issue. But I don't miss flights too often, no.
Okay, and then how many hours a day were you putting in back in these early days when it was just you?
I mean, it's unlimited. I mean, I feel like I worked, if there's 24 hours in a day, I feel like I worked 30. I mean, I really worked around the clock. It was, if I wasn't doing the paper route, like at a 48-hour paper route, picking up the newspapers, delivering it, putting the paper together, writing articles, calling for sales. I mean, it was every waking moment I was working.
Got it. One of the things that you did, and it's like a fake it till you make it, you were writing in the paper, and maybe you had a couple other guys, but you were using a lot of pseudonyms, fake names.
Yeah.
Can you tell people about
that?
that?
Early newspaper, I always started as a business. The intent was never for me to be known. Like I wasn't doing it like someone goes on a reality show, they want people to know them. Social followings didn't even exist. I was doing this strictly as a business. So to make it seem like we were bigger, I had aliases for marketing, sales, writing, just made up names like Devilfish Dave, I think, was one that people always make fun of it. But it was basically make us seem much bigger. I used to put fake ads in the newspaper. If like I was trying to get, Fleming's Steakhouse, I'd put Morton's ad and then call up, be like, hey, Fleming's, you should see that Morton's advertising. You guys should be too. Whatever I could do to get people to advertise or make it seem like a legitimate business, I was trying it.
It's the most genius thing, though, because like people are like, oh, I want to start this business, I want to build this app. But you didn't just do that. You did the things to make it look like a real business, even when it was just you.
Yeah.
And like you were the multiple names. That Fleming's thing, I was actually the next thing I was going to bring up was when I saw that, it was like the most genius thing because it makes it so much more credible.
Right. It didn't work. Like I remember, I think Fleming's got mad. They're like, who advertised? Let us speak to your salesperson who sold this. Like this should never be in there. And I just said that person quit.
That's the best. And they left you alone.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's a little rink-dink newspaper at that time. But yeah, I mean, I had, before the newspaper launched, I think about 20 or 40 grand, which is a lot for nothing, worth of sales, like booked before we ever launched.
That's unreal, and I don't think see that people think I can start. So right now, I hear people saying all the time now, we want to be the Barstool of whatever, the Barstool of football, finance, the Barstool of this. Like that's like a badge to you, but it's like you can't be the Barstool of this if you don't have someone like you who does these things to make it that. I mean, do you hear that same thing? I'm the Barstool of this?
Yeah. Obviously, to me, that is a compliment. I think they mean tone of voice a lot of times, like the kind of sarcastic, not too serious, whether it be finance, cars, poker, and we've thought about all of it. So I take it as a compliment. I have often said I think I have a very unique role and it's changed through the years, but I really did have the sales business drive, and then the personality side of it came after. I was just following what people seemed to be interested in, and a lot of it was me, and as we grew, the other personalities. But yes, there's a lot of people who like or get wowed by like the fame part of it and the fun part of it without realizing probably how much work went in on the back end.
And still does. I mean, we're going to get to the casino app, the gambling app, but it still does. The thing that I think is we'll go back to this, the Astro van. Where did you find that van?
So I needed when I was delivering the papers myself, I needed a car. I couldn't afford to pay anybody to deliver it, so I just needed a van to carry it. I looked it up. Ironically, the guy did email me probably like 6 months ago who sold it to me laughing about it, but I just went on Craigslist and there was an $1,800 Astro van from a family that was moving. I was in the South Shore of Massachusetts at the time. So I just, on the South Shore of Mass, I went through Craigslist. He was picking up his family moving, had to get rid of it. It actually was a godsend. The thing was a beast. And that's where I found the Astro van.
And it was unbelievable. You got all these tickets, and your mom was like, my job was paying the tickets.
My parents are super helpful, always. They helped rotate me with the credit cards to keep the interest low, because we're doing this with like nothing. So yeah, my parents were always supportive of it.
Does your mom just like in tears a lot, like seeing how successful you are, like so happy? Your dad, I listened to him on the show, but
Yeah. So, I think any child is very happy to be able to, make it on a level that I don't think I ever dreamed of they did. So I bought them, in our hometown, like a nice condo right on the water. She cried then. I think she cried when she saw my Nantucket house. So there are moments that I think just, without putting words in their mouth, they know, because they're getting up there in years, that financial at least, unless I absolutely go off the deep end, I'll be solvent, and my sister.
Careful with that Bitcoin.
Correct.
I shouldn't say that.
Bitcoin, I have none.
You still don't have any.
I don't have any. I wish I did, but I don't.
You brought up that point to Pop, on that show about, I'm switching subjects, but you brought up that point about like it seems like a pyramid. Like if people don't buy, it doesn't go up, and I still don't have that clear answer on that. I own Bitcoin now.
Yes.
But I don't have that clear answer. If more people don't buy it, then how does it go up in value?
Yeah, I guess. It's hot right now in the streets.
Yes.
It was hot like this the first time I got in. I think I bought around 17,000. It's super high. I do think it'll come back down because again, and I'm not saying I'm the expert. People unlike stock market people, which I always find fascinating when they seem to root against the stock market or they want people to lose.
Yes.
Finchwitz. Yeah, so I'm not in Bitcoin, but I'm happy people are making money. Do I have a little buyer's remorse? A little bit. Yeah. But I think it'll come down, and I think it's almost like a game of push your luck. It's like, all right, when's this thing gonna plateau? It's been on a run, obviously. Yeah. Almost it seemed like the PayPal news sparked it, and it hasn't stopped. But the people, I follow them, I mean, they are fanatical. They are fanatical about pushing it, making you feel like you're having FOMO and just Bitcoin, 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 but I still don't get it.
Yeah, because Square, MicroStrategy, PayPal, and then, all these people, I mean, even our guy we'll talk about in a minute is a big Bitcoin lover. Now, I don't know when this part was. I was reading about you and did you have money to live? Like, I read a story that you were playing party poker. I remember like Poker Stars were back then to like have money for lunch. Is that?
Yeah, I think Renee, my ex-wife, who I'm still very close with, mentioned in the early days, like if she wanted to get her nails done, we would play like $10 party poker round. If we won, she could get her nails done. But I mean, we had nothing. I mean, couldn't go out to eat. We were living. I went from living basically rent-free at my parents', and then we lived in an in-law house of hers. So we really had no money, none.
So would you say, what would describe you? Like Mark Cuban described himself as a grinder. Would you describe yourself as like a scrappy, a grinder?
Yeah, I think any entrepreneur has to be scrappy, has to be a grinder, and you have to have, unwavering faith in what you're doing. I've often said, which I've only started one business. It was Barstool, and it was like a home run. So
I would say grand slam, double home.
Whatever you want to, whatever metrics, it's gone as perfect really as it could possibly go. I always thought it was success. I never thought it was going to be this, but I was like, okay, it's working. I don't know if I was just lucky, not lucky in the work, but if I would have believed the same way, even if it didn't work. Obviously, most businesses fail, especially in printing. So that's one question I'll never have the answer to. Like, I always like, of course it's going to work. Of course it's going to work. It's going to work. It's going to work. And it worked. But I don't know if the two's correlated, if that makes any sense.
Well, think about this, like BuzzFeed and all those companies, Buzz, they raised so much money, and I can name 20 others, right? They raised so much money, and then, and they used the Facebook algorithms. You didn't do that. You built a community. I don't know if you did it on purpose. Was that always the plan, build a community or build cool stuff on sports?
There was never a plan in that regard. The community was supernatural, and I always recognized how important it was. I've told this story about like the Chive guys, and I think they're still around doing pretty well. But early days, although I've heard one of them hates me, I don't know why, but early days, they reached out. His name was Leo, whatever.
Do you have him on a champagne bottle yet?
No. No animosity towards them. But they were very big when we were kind of growing as well. I felt like we were growing almost together. But they reached out and they're like, hey, we have this link. If you sign up, and it bounces around the internet. So for every hit you get, you'll get like 20. And I kind of was like, well, what's the point of that? Because the 19 people who don't know what we are, they're just gonna be like, it's spam. So I didn't care. And we always, still to this day, even some of the conversations with Penn, when they're like, hey, we wanna do email blasts and this and that, I'm like, we don't have to. Like, our people come to us every single day. If I wanna talk to them, I'll talk to them. So that's all community-based. And it's been a huge strength of ours. It wasn't planned, but without a doubt, most of the positive and negative things you hear about Barstool is around the community, because they're ravenous, they're loyal, they can be out of control at times, even though it's like a super small minority. But anytime you have, and it's no different, sports, whatever it may be, celebrities like Bieber, whenever you have a fanatical fan base, it will make waves both ways.
Oh yeah, I was confronted by it one time. And I was going to go to it later.
I remember you. I got mad about something. I don't remember what it was.
I got all the things. I've never gotten tweets like this. Jason, you stink.
What was it? What was the origin?
Activision earnings. So the way our news...
Yes, you misreported. I was big on Activision.
Oh my God. So out of my son's 9 years old at the time, there's a championship baseball game, all of a sudden my phone starts fucking blowing up. And it's a fourth inning, and it's going to 6. And Josh, my phone is, Jason, you need to respond, and I'm like, what's going on?
You guys reported incorrect earnings.
So Reuters, Bloomberg, they don't do this calculation that we do to pick this thing out. The guy who did the calculation like Brent, whatever. He did the plus instead of the minus. Like he did the wrong. We wrote it right away.
Right.
And we do this. We actually do this math to compare like and move stuff out instead of just automated. A lot of the press releases you just automate.
Yep.
The Activision, there's like certain companies you just do the math on. And he messed up. He corrected it right away. But we have no, if I had inside information, I'm the opposite. The SEC calls us almost quarterly on stuff, not against us, but people that and so I never, and so in your thing, you called us a suit. And we're the opposite suit.
Right.
We're like the financial news for millennials, and we pop, we're on Robin, all those places.
Do you think that the background on that is I was huge on Activision into earnings.
They shouldn't have been. Benzinga shouldn't have been wrong. They should not have made a mistake on Activision. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's
but my question was, because it started hot, I felt, and I'm going on memory, that came out and thwarted the momentum of it, and it went the other way.
And the guys in the news desk say no, it was already going the other way. Right then before even we had it, because he did the math, it was already going down. They kept showing me.
So
charts.
You think I'm wrong on?
They think I never studied the whole chart thing.
Yeah.
These guys think, but I have never, dude, I had someone told me to kill myself and jump off a bridge, on Twitter.
And I get that a lot every day too.
Yeah, you get the people tell you to kill yourself.
Yeah,
so the first few times,
it doesn't bother me, but
it doesn't bother you. Did it bother you at first?
No, and that's part of probably. I have very thick skin. I talk in insults, and I don't take it seriously if someone says it. But not everyone's the same way.
Hey, how about fuck you? You know?
Yeah, right. No, that's the world. I get that all. I get that all every day, all day. Doesn't bother me. A lot of them are my friends, or not friends, but they like me.
Yeah, nothing. Me, this is you're an easy person. I think you're an easy person, because you say what you think, and it's and then we're gonna go to that. But do you think? Oh, because you were using a different brokerage and you switched to another brokerage.
Well, I got kicked off.
Yes,
I got kicked off E-Trade.
Okay,
Yeah. So I got kicked off E-Trade, and I should have probably. The only reason I was on E-Trade was because I don't know. I made I bought one stock in my life. I bought Twitter way back in the day, and I had it. So the account was already set up. So that's why I chose it. And I really wasn't planning out DDTG is going to be some huge thing. My take on E-Trade is it's for grandmothers. It's for people making small trades, not paying attention, and I'm trading millions of dollars per day. Slowed a little since gone back to work, but E-Trade, every time the market got super volatile, would crash. And I'm live streaming, and there was one day it totally crashed and froze. And I couldn't even see what stocks. The only thing I'd see is every 5 minutes it would refresh, I'd be down another $250,000. And I couldn't make a trade. I couldn't see anything. And I'm live streaming, so I freaked out. E-Trade decided this type of publicity was no good for them. I really don't think their system is built, because I've been on Trade Zero now,
that's what I was gonna say,
which is a more complicated interface for me, but it hasn't crashed once since I've been using it.
So Trade Zero is a customer of us.
Yeah.
And so that's where you got the Activision earnings. And then we did the update. That's why you got it. So when you went to move to Trade Zero, we're like, oh, that's sweet. Dave's going to see our stuff now because we provide content. Because we provide it to Robinhood, Trade Zero, Ameritrade, and all this stuff. So we're like, oh, we're going to see the content. The first thing I see is this Activision at the game. I'm like, come on, isn't there a good thing we've done,
Well, I didn't get that from Trade Zero. I got people sent it to me.
Oh, okay.
They're they singled Benzinga out there this is why you just got fucked.
I know. And then because we Weeble, all these places we provide content
Yeah, right.
to. And that's why.
But it is a huge mistake.
Yeah, it is. Having an earnings number, the wrong number is a mistake. You have to correct it. But the thing I was tweeted back, and you acknowledged it. It was nice. You're like, the CEO responded back, owned it, and all this stuff. But Dow, the other companies that are way bigger than us, make 10 with
I
more
remember you
mistakes
saying that.
because they automate the stuff, and so they don't take the actual X numbers. So the first number is always often wrong.
Yeah.
So people like us because we curate the correct numbers. We put less noise in there. So if you compare our feed to one of those big guys, and we ours is way more, we can't make mistakes. The Hertz Avis thing.
Yeah.
So we have to be better than those guys. So that's bad. Don't get me wrong. You got to be able to rely on us we're the Bible. It's like water. There's no excuse. You know what I mean? If you make a mistake, heads cut off. That's just. But so they corrected it right away. But they say the stock was moving down before, and we didn't have any impact.
I didn't realize. I was more why is Activision going down? Because they smashed earnings, and I know guidance, all that, and sometimes earnings makes no sense. But I was basically saying that, and God knows who said, but they pointed out this is why.
And I have a bias to Activision. Bobby Kotick, you know where he graduated from, the CEO of Activision?
I guess Michigan, yeah.
When I was in senior year in high school, in college, I did a project on Bobby, not on him, but I interviewed Bobby Kotick for the school. So I've loved Activision forever.
And I mean, you handle it well. We say a lot of people don't. If you follow me close enough, I'm really like not out picking.
I agree.
Like
I agree.
I'm like over the top, and the language is colorful and all that, but. I'm fair.
You're fair. There's no doubt.
Like I'll turn quick, and even with like Ross, it's like I'll say shit. Like, and I read it when Ross was on here. Like the only reason I even know who he was is he like came at me from the clouds. Like, who's this fucking guy?
I know. He was like, he tweeted to you. He's like, before you make a trip.
He basically tried to get me to be his client, and then when I was like, no, he's like, you're too stupid to handle your own money.
And then you just interviewed him 2 days ago, and he said to you, call him in the morning before you make your trade, so you don't make any dumb trades.
Right. Yes. So.
I mean,
he does look like a plastic surgeon, used car salesman, but I give him credit for coming on.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because you've had some great trades. You're still like long PayPal, Shopify, or?
I'm huge on Shopify right now, and it was trading at I think like $9.25. I'll hold on to it. At least I'm convinced it's going to go back over 1,000. And it was super low. So I started really bad. I got murdered when I started. I was shorting stocks. Boeing like killed me for like 3 straight days. Up, down, no rhyme or reason to why one day it would be up next. So I think I was down close to like 3 million quickly. Like almost lost everything I put in. The peak of everything I turned around went up 4 million, and now I'm probably, because the market hasn't been great lately for what I've had, I'm probably about up 1.5, somewhere around there.
When you first went on, the second day I emailed you and I said, hey, you want a comp thing of Benzinga Pro? And we gave the password as just one bite. And then you went on the thing like, I know what you guys want. You want free advertising. And so then I wrote Go Blue, I used the Michigan, but then you didn't use it. But then I started emailing you like stocks. I get very passionate about a few different stocks. Like Upwork, UPWK, it's a freelancing marketplace. With everyone being remote, it's hard to hire employees.
Sure.
So, and I sent you that, it was like at 15. Now that one's performed. I mean, I'm sure. Oh yeah, do you know GAN? G-A-N?
Yep.
Okay, you guys use them for something. I don't know what.
Yeah, Penn maybe back end. People told me that.
I gave my brother and dad are in it. Well, it's getting killed right now. Do you have any opinion on GAN?
I gave GAN out. It made sense. It's like, should work with all the gambling, but it hasn't followed the gambling stocks necessarily.
And GAN, it's not your fault on that.
I think it's 18 or something now. It's come back a little bit.
We're down 2.5 today or something.
Was it? I have a very small portfolio right now. I have a shit ton of Shopify. Oh, Penn's up. Good. That's good.
What's Penn at? I got some
Penn's at 66.
Yeah, so GAN, we're down 13%. Like I thought GAN with the whole
what?
We're down 13% again.
You mean
had earnings? We're down 13%. We're at 1569. It had
earnings today.
Yeah, it bought last night. Yeah, last night. It bought a company called CoolBet.
See, all those companies, I will say, like Fastly, and those guys get smashed at earnings, and then they come back.
Well, the thing that's sweet about these companies is the thing behind the thing. So
I know.
If GAN's, you get it. So if GAN, you know Twilio?
Yep. But they've had unbelievable runs.
I went to elementary, middle school, high school, college with the CEO of Twilio. He went to Michigan.
Oh,
he graduated with you, actually.
I didn't know that. Yeah, no, they've killed it. The GAN, I didn't know how the earnings.
Yeah. So the GAN, I don't know. Do you know the CEO and stuff?
No.
Okay, I didn't know.
So I am kept pretty out of the loop on anything that's going on with Penn outside of promoting the sports book.
Okay, and we're gonna get to this app. I have the app open here. I want people to see it because I don't think there's enough of you being asked about the app and showing how you use it. So I'm gonna do that in a second. But there's one thing that we skipped. So you know how you're scrappy and all that stuff. You get things done. When you started the company, you're doing 10 different jobs. When you had to hire employees, wasn't it like weird for you like to hire like 50 people and like pay them real salaries and stuff? Because like you were used to just being scrappy. Like when I started my company, it was in my basement. It was just me, and then I had to hire someone. The first time I had to pay someone like real dollars, it was like so crazy for me because it was like blood, sweat, and tears. And I was like $50,000 is a ton, 100,000. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like how was that transition for you? It wasn't that easy for me.
It had. Well, the company has been built, Barstool, over the course of 2 decades, super organically. So. The early guys, like the first employee I ever hired is still here. Sales guy, Paul Glazinski, I've been one of my good friends now. But nobody was making a lot free for a long time before they actually got paid. So that's like, I have no problem with that. And I'm glad, I've said, hopefully, like Milton, where we started, everybody who was in that office will be millionaires. So that's awesome and very nice. The new age.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And by the way, and people don't know this, but you fought for that with your deal with Chernin.
I fought for it with Chernin. I fought for it with Penn. I fought I'm wildly loyal to the people who've been with me from the beginning. I mean, Paul was working on my kitchen. Feidelberg, was working with Free. Dan, Kevin, early guys.
The best.
Loyalty forever for them. New age, and I talked about this the other day, I always have to remember, and Erica, CEO, hires the business people, so I don't deal with a lot of that. The new content people, yeah, sometimes I know they don't work as hard as we did back in the day, and I just have to remind myself, they don't have the same incentive. It's still a great job, but it's like, I've made it. Like, I've made hundreds of millions of dollars doing this. They're never gonna make hundreds of millions. So it's just expect somebody to be home on Saturday night blogging like I used to. It's just different when it's not your company. Our guys still have the incentive on content. If you make it, that helps you at the end of your contract.
And all.
Yeah, and your personal brand grows, right. And that's the incentive, almost more than money. And then it's no different than being like a sports team. Like, you get your worth. If we can't pay you, you can go to the Yankees and they may pay you. So it's something that I've just come to realize. There are people in this building who treat it as a job, where myself and the early guys treated it as, their life.
I mean, what's so amazing with you guys, like you had the awards thing a couple of years ago, and you were pissed. A lot of the employees didn't show up, they didn't dress up, they didn't treat. And you weren't faking it. Like, you were visibly upset.
Yes, I was very mad about that.
You probably wanted to fire like a lot of people that day.
Yeah, I always go back. When people complain about work or doing ads, I know how hard I worked and the early guys worked. So it's like these guys have a dream job. It's like they're getting paid pretty decent money to talk about sports, pop culture, whatever. I will say, I don't want to make it. I think we have a very good content team. And what I've learned as we've gotten away from hiring maybe established people who now we can afford, or people coming from networks, but we're hiring people who are born from the internet. Like, we found out about them because they were funnier, worked harder, worked better than the guy next to them or the girl next to them. So that's still the DNA over there. And as much as I complain, because people will be like, oh, he just grumpy old man. Like, back in my day, I worked 24 hours. Our guys still work pretty hard. They work pretty hard.
Yep, the born from the internet thing is the powerful thing you were talking about. No, that's okay. So now I'm gonna move on to some of the sports betting apps. So we have the Barstool app. It started in Pennsylvania.
Only legal in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, only legal in Pennsylvania. I don't think you spend any money in marketing, but I think you have 13% market share.
Yeah, I think they just came out with a new...
Was it a higher number now?
No. I think it was 12 or 13, exactly, actually. We're firmly... I just got a text from it. It said we're firmly number 3. DraftKings, FanDuel 1, 2, us 3. So we're very happy with it. And, it's going to be an interesting decision as we move forward. It's been such a weird time because obviously we're competing versus FanDuel and DraftKings.
Yes, 2 companies that could have bought you.
Correct, and we helped build. We are in a company that has physical casinos, which when we did the deal, to me, it was like a huge advantage. It's like, yes, we're gonna have the on-premise, off-premise 1-2 punch.
Yeah.
Then COVID hit, like 3 seconds later. So for the duration of our relationship with Penn, I think some people have seen that as like a negative because the casinos got closed and all this, whereas the others don't. You need sports. But it's been an interesting dynamic. But yeah, firmly 3 with no marketing. And we will be, whether we are now or whatever, once COVID aside, hopefully with the vaccines, we'll be the first profitable one. Like, we're gonna make money. So a decision that will go on, and it'll be a Penn decision more than ours. Do you want to go spend? I mean, I think I saw DraftKings spent like a $250 million, $250 million, like in the quarter of advertising. It's going to be very difficult to be profitable doing that. Yeah. They're looking to be last man standing, knock out the other guy, and when I say other guy, DraftKings, FanDuel, DraftKings, and get all that market share and be the gorilla and maybe make money, in my mind, I don't know, a decade down the road. We're making money like now because our customer acquisition's nothing.
Nothing. Yeah, and that's when you talked to Ross, and he's like, "I'm long DraftKings," and then he brought up
MGM. He was long MGM.
MGM. You're right. MGM, and then he's like, "Oh, they should do cannabis in the store." That's what he said.
You're right. Yeah.
So, but I was just like, he's long MGM, but like your customer acquisition cost is basically nothing.
And he didn't really have an answer. I'm like, all right, and he did. And basically say the only reason he's been trashing Penn is because of me. He's like, well, because you trashed me, so I trashed. Which again, to me, seems wildly like dangerous to admit that. But you know, you look at MGM, and I like Jamie Foxx. I think he's like an A-list celebrity. Yeah. God knows how much they paid him to like be the market. And I took a picture. I haven't posted, literally on my phone, because all along Penn Station there's the MGM Jamie Foxx ads. So I took a picture of me in front of it, and I was getting off the train from Philadelphia where I'm humping it back and forth every 2 seconds. It's like, who do you want to bet on? This Jamie Foxx, how many games do you think he bet on? How many hours do you think he was in front of the TV? Because it was Masters weekend and we had a house in Philadelphia. I was in front of the TV gambling, talking about our picks for like 72 straight hours.
It was some of the best background TV you could you have the TV on. But how about the fucking debate you guys had with the putting, with the Tigers ball and the thing?
Everything.
And then you're tweeting to them to get it. So what was the end result of that thing?
It was a win. I knew it was a win. They misscored.
Because you had it on the...
We had every...
So here's the app. Where are your can't you follow you on here? Like,
you can't see what I bet, but if you go into the exclusives, you'll see like I didn't submit one, so like these are all things we come up with the bets, and then if you go into the bet with, you'll see like lights, camera, action, the big Maction, bet with Brandon Walker, bet with me. So whatever we have for the day,
and we'll roll to B-roll on this one. Okay, yeah. So whatever you have for the day. Will you ever put like people's track record if they want, and then you could follow their bets?
One of the issues we have, and this is like almost inside baseball, is we got to get better on tech. Like, so we will, but we don't have the ability. We're not.
Is Penn the tech doing the tech?
Yep.
Maybe you need more GAN.
Yeah, right. I don't think that would help. But that like those things aren't. We've thought about all of them, and they'll be coming. So like Penn already started down the path of building this app before we had the deal. So we came into it kind of, in I would say the 5th or 6th inning of them building that app. We've given them feedback, design, all that, and helped create it to like the visual aesthetics. But a lot of the ideas that we would have loved to have implemented, it couldn't be done in version 1, but it will be.
But I would have to say, when you guys started this app, a lot of guys put shorts on your stock because they thought the app was going to totally crash and not work. The app was a resounding success. I can't believe how much it works, right?
Yes, no, and everything we do crashes. That probably speaks to us, our tech. But yes, they've been, the app, there's more we got to do to create like more unique bets and more engagement, but the nuts and bolts of it, great. Like, couldn't be happier with the tech.
Phenomenal. Okay. All right. So then you guys have. Are you working on partnerships for Barstool? The app part? Are you like the gambling? Are you calling on like big companies to say, hey, you should partner with Barstool to like not an Amazon. They're not going to have betting, but like you have a name. You can get a hold of anyone in the industry. If you wanted a partnership with like ABC, would you be the one doing a BD deal or?
Yeah.
I know I'm not closing it, but like opening the door.
We have a lot of input on all marketing decisions. Okay. So, you know, and there's been some like Penn, hey, we want to do radio ads, we want to do this, and we've almost said no. It's like, don't spend. Right. I feel like it's one of the hidden, and maybe not so hidden, is they got access to what I think not only myself, but our content people, like I say, born from the internet. Some of the smartest people out there in terms of how to market. We know how to market. Yeah. So we do have a lot of input, and there'll be pretty big, in my mind, marketing announcements coming up in the next, 6 months or so.
And you want a break here?
No, not quite yet. Not until the ink is dry.
There you go. Because as the new king of all media in my mind, like Howard Stern, he does a show like 3 days a week or a little bit. You're nonstop. Like you're nonstop. You go on vacation. You go to Nantucket. You're still posting.
Correct.
Do you ever get like tired from it or?
No, this was a nice change, the Penn deal. I'm a gambler by nature. I find it fascinating. I enjoy it. So this was a new thing to kind of get the engine going, and it's been a lot. I mean, it's been around the clock. But I knew the deal going in, and it is what it is.
You weren't forced to do the deal. If you wanted to walk from the Penn deal, you could have, like.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, my contract was running out with Chernin.
Yep.
And I think I don't know what would have happened.
You had a 5-year or something like
Yeah,
that?
and it was running out, and they hadn't put a contract that I liked in front of me. So, and now they could have been playing possum because they are good negotiators. But I was getting ready to go back to Boston. I mean, and I
Oh, really?
Yeah, like I would have left Barstool.
You really think you could have left Barstool?
Yeah. Yes.
So if they didn't, did they help bring the pen on board? I mean, you brought pen.
So no, Penn. You know, it's funny. We had like a banker group who was hired to help navigate the gambling field and set up meetings with everybody, and they did with everybody except Penn. And then we had a guy, David Van Egman, who worked here. He used to be, I think, FanDuel DraftKings guy, and he was like partnerships. He provided the introduction with Penn, and to be honest, we kept Chernin out of it. They helped with the negotiation at the end. Like, Chernin never met Jay Snowden during the entire negotiation.
So you did it all your...
It was Erica and I think we instantly had chemistry with Jay, and Jay trusted us, and we trusted Jay. And anytime somebody else got involved, it seemed to get a little bit murky. So it was very much like, okay, let's just keep this group tight, and we'll get the done. I mean, it's like a story that is, I haven't told, but we were ready to announce the deal. Like do all the paperwork and sign it. And it was the day, and we were gonna do a big announcement on it. And it was the day that Kobe's helicopter crashed.
It was a weekend then, because that was...
I think that was at a Sunday that happened.
It was a Sunday, yeah.
So it
Sunday,
was,
11 a.m.
It was ready to go Monday was the deal. And we were like, we can't do it because what are we gonna be like dancing around like, hey, we did this deal, all anyone's talking about this tragedy. So it was from us to Penn being like, let's push it back. Like, let's go from Monday to Wednesday. Nothing was signed. And Chernin was so far not in the group, and I don't think they would have felt this way if they met, but they were like, whoa, we gotta sign a penalty agreement. Like if they don't do the deal, and I was like, what are you doing? Like, we're the ones who said we wanted to push it back. So anytime it was just, we kept it very tight. Like, I trusted Jay totally. I think Jay trusted myself and Erica. And we just kept it a very tight-knit circle and was able to push it through pretty quick, all things being considered.
No, it's unreal. But from the outside, people like say, why did Dave sell 51% to the Chernin Group? Why? And you've answered it because at the time, you didn't have like that kind of capital. The only thing that I question with that is, you're a guy who likes to control and to march to your drummer. Did you still have control in that scenario?
And which one?
The Chernin? Yeah, the Chernin.
Chernin's biggest compliment I give them, they never interfered with content.
So then you had...
And that was, and I'm a little bit different because I don't want to say I can be a terrorist, but what do if they say do something, and in my heart of hearts, I'm like, this is wrong, I absolutely don't want to do it, and I don't do it, then what?
Yeah, because you said you almost went back to Boston. There's no way you could have went back to Boston.
Right, I think they would have been forced to like ante up. That would have been at the end of the contract. But yeah, listen.
That had been some good new corporate espionage. Like they had the KKR Nabisco back in the day, like Barbarians at the Gate. That'd be like Barstool at the Gate.
And even when we hired Erica, it's like she's CEO.
She's amazing, right?
Yeah, amazing. And we haven't disagreed on anything. And if we have disagreed on something, we almost defer to each other. It's like, whatever you want to do. So I don't need that ultimate control. I was comfortable with the Chernin guys. They knew what they were getting. It was obvious they knew what they were getting. So there's never been that. It's the same with Penn. Like Penn laid out, here's what you can do, here's what you can't do. I was fine with it. We'll honor it. And the control thing hasn't been an issue at all.
Good. Now, okay, I'll try to go fast because I have whatever. I know it's getting late, but Greektown Casino's Barstool Sportsbook. So we're from Detroit.
Yep.
You have a Greektown Casino, Barstool Sportsbook. Your face is big on the wall. Do you think you'll ever come back to? You were in Detroit. You went to Pizza Papa's. You didn't get to go to Supino's. I went there recently because I know you didn't get to go there.
I got to go there. Yeah.
I know, but do you think you'll come back when the?
Absolutely. So obviously,
COVID.
Yeah, they just shut down the casino for 3 weeks. I think.
Yeah, you're right.
So our plan. That's the next state and. what happens with COVID and passing. But once sports gambling is legal there, I'll probably be living at that casino for a decent amount of time.
Okay, so we can hang.
Yes.
We're literally like 200 yards. I'll hook it up.
We will be there.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
And you know, I thought it's a huge advantage that Penn has all those casinos in different states, because isn't that easier for you to go into other states when you have an actual casino?
It makes it. I get a little fuzzy on this, but it's easier to get the licenses.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes, correct. Absolutely. To get, I mean, I don't know that everyone knows this. Like FanDuel and DraftKings, I know pay Penn for licenses. So like off competitors, we make money.
So guess what? Penn is the thing behind the thing then.
It is the thing behind the thing in some respects.
Okay, so then now I'm going to go to a little bit, here we're going to go to this little thing. So I find, as I was doing this interview, I asked people, do they know Dave Portnoy and Barstool? And a lot of people in like 20 to 40s know you, or younger. I mean, I'm getting text messages. We post some photo and then people are going crazy. I want to meet, whatever. I think I could have charged someone $10,000 or more to come here and meet you. I really think I could have. But one of the things I think it's so interesting how people discover you. Like, what do you think the answer is? And I'll tell you what I found through my research. I've talked to like 100 people asking how they know Barstool and Dave Portnoy.
Oof, it's changed through the years. I mean, the early answer was always, I have a buddy from Boston.
Okay.
That was 100% the early answer. Now, pizza is huge. It's probably the biggest thing I do. And yeah, people always roll their eyes when I say this. I'm not political, but certainly the politics, like I interviewed Trump, I do Fox News a decent amount. People know me that way. Those are probably...
You also do CNBC.
Yeah, they'll invite me. I think actually...
Fast money.
Yeah,
Leslie.
yeah. Occasionally, CNBC actually reached out at one point about like creating a show for me, and then something happened with news, and like, nope, we don't want him anymore.
Were you dealing with Mark Hoffman, the CEO?
I forget who it was.
The other guy. They didn't want to do it. Okay, interesting.
So those, and then
That reminds me of your ESPN deal.
Yeah, which one day.
Because the only reason that show was canceled, I know she said it wasn't because of her, but...
Sam Ponder?
Yeah, you met her, you saw her at a bar recently?
Yeah, she got my face, which I respected. I don't think she was certainly the only one, but yeah, without a doubt. And I think there was a lot of selfish motives probably behind that, and they didn't want to lose spotlight or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, so those are, it's being from Boston, pizza, finance, or politics.
Okay, so one of these persons I talked to from Canada, you infuriated her. Like, she was so angry at you. And the reason she was so angry at you is because, this is a good story, not a bad one. She was so angry at you because you gave Costco pizza such a low rating and it infuriated her. But then what did she go on to do? She went on to watch 200 of your other things and knows you like the back of her hand. And like,
pizza.
So my question is, did you give the Costco the low review? I know the answer. You're an honest guy. You didn't like the Costco pizza. Like that's what she wanted me to ask if that was a.
She's from Kent. I mean, we're judging him versus some of the like best. I've had the best pizza places like in the world, basically.
Oh, by the way, this guy Aaron wants to know what's your top two. If you don't want to answer,
I
have the app, by the way. You guys should download the app. What's the app?
One Bite app.
Yeah, I got it here.
I love Sally's in New Haven and John's a Bleecker here in Manhattan. Spectacular. That's actually probably the most functional. My face. That's how many places. So that's where you are. If you see my face.
Are these really all the places you like? These?
Yeah, that's just
places?
in that.
These are not Dave Portnoy clones.
No. So
are you serious?
Yeah. If my face is on it, that means I've reviewed it. If it's a slice, that means I haven't.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Got a lot of faces.
I mean, I've done probably 1,000 spots, and we're right near our office, so obviously I've done them all.
You all know the rules. One by. I mean,
yeah, it's crazy how popular. I that's probably the number one thing that people know me by.
And how did you create it? Just one day you came out and like.
I got in a debate with somebody who works here at Big Cat. If you could only eat one food the rest of your life, what would it be? I said pizza. He said burritos, and then we did it. So for like a month, I was just eating pizza, and since I was doing it, I'd be like, I'll take a bite and rate it, and it just kind of caught on. Okay.
Now, so yeah, that thing people just get. They love it. They go through the whole feed.
Pizza thing was wild.
How many times do you do it a week? A month?
I do it every day.
You do it totally every day?
No, if I'm traveling, I'll load up and do maybe like 5 in a day.
How do you stay skinny? I thought we have to do keto, no carbs.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
Because you lost because they used to call Fat Dave back in the day.
I walk now. I walk an hour a day. COVID, I'm putting on more weight again.
Okay, well, I talked to Kevin. I wanted to potentially do this interview walking in New York. I wanted to see how many people would just interrupt. Hey, when you walk on the street now, how many people like yell?
A lot. New York's actually probably the least because it's such a big city with so many like different groups of people.
The guy at the hotel checked me and didn't know you. I was really pissed.
Yeah, so it's different. But I mean, depends where. Philadelphia, it's like every person. New York, It's a lot, but not as much as like Philly.
Okay. All right. So this one I thought was hilarious. So we did a story. We surveyed 2,000 people or something, and the story was we asked, you answered, who would you rather have run your portfolio, Warren Buffett or you? And you tweeted, and 60% said Warren Buffett. And so your tweet was such a good comeback. The best, like, it was so funny. It was on a Saturday. So you wrote, so 60% of Americans are dummies, ? Got it? And what do you feel on this, Buffett? You know?
The Warren Buffett thing is, again, one of those things that took a life of its own.
Totally. I mean,
It just so happened that when I decided I'm going to go all in on airlines, I'm like, I'm going to take a stand. I'm going to find the most depressed thing I can find. That's what I'm going to buy. So Spirit Airlines leading the charge at $7.
Say what? Do you still own Save?
I don't. It's around 20 right now. It's been floating around, obviously, the vaccine
Have you
talk.
ever been on Spirit Airlines, by the way?
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay.
So when I did that, like 5 minutes later, Warren Buffett, Berkshire Hathaway is like, we're out totally on airlines. I mean, it was 5 seconds after I did my rant. And then so it became, all right, let's see who's better. And luckily, in my case, Spirit went bananas. It went from 7 to like 18 and 20 in very fast order, cruises and airlines. Yep. So I said, he's dumb, I'm smart. And then it got pulled out of a DDTG broadcast where I think if you watch it enough, you kind of get the tone of it. And it ended up in like Business Week and all this stuff. I just leaned into it. I do think Warren Buffett, one of the things people always took umbrage, I'm like, he's past his prime. It's like the dude is 100 years old. I certainly hope he's past his prime.
Yep, yeah, and exactly. So I mean, that's you're following these stocks moving fast, and as you said, stock market always goes up, and people tease you about it, or I don't know, but over time the stock market always goes up.
Correct, and I have said over and over, like if you need the money tomorrow, you have to be more careful. But if you can leave it there, it does always go up. It just, I mean, it statistically always goes up.
Okay, how'd you create Stoolies?
The word?
Yeah, like the thing.
I have no idea. Okay. I mean, there's so many things that I don't know how they were created. I have no idea where that came from.
I know the answer to this one, but you answer. Just tell us a little.
The logo. So we're a newspaper when we started, and I have a friend who is a very good artist, and he drew me a very elaborate logo. I went to print the newspaper, and they're like, it's way too elaborate. It'll never transfer the detail. So I need to go to print, and they took clip art.
Yeah, it's an amazing story.
And then we added, it didn't have the stars, and at some point the stars just got added.
All right, I probably shouldn't say this, but people knew I was coming to do this interview. A friend of mine who was on maybe an X-rated site, in the background the guy has a Barstool flag. I mean, that's what the guy sends me a photo of. I mean, you guys have...
Yeah, it's been in the background of almost everything. I've seen it back at Brazzers. I got asked. I got asked to like judge, basically. I don't forget the porn site. They wanted to pay me like $1 million. It was it was basically like
Pornhub?
It could have been. It was like American Idol for porn, like amateur porn people. You vote somebody off every week, and they like wanted me on the panel.
Have you been? There's a question I was going to ask later. Dancing with the Stars and all those. Have you been offered millions of dollars?
I am viewed. It's a roundabout way of asking, like, am I a celebrity? And I don't really know the answer. I'm not viewed in that light. Like, I'm not viewed in a Dancing with the Stars. Like,
really?
Like Hollywood, I don't think would look at Dave Portnoy and be like, he's a celebrity. The crowds we attract and the fandom we have, I think, suggests otherwise. But like Dancing with the Stars, not even on their radar.
I'm like shocked.
No,
I would think they would need to pay you at least $1 million to $5 million appearance fee.
No, it is. That would be great, but no.
When I saw the response, I was like, this guy is as powerful as Trump on Twitter in some respect. I mean,
but it's almost
like too small of a niche.
No, it's almost like DraftKings and FanDuel. More FanDuel, I would say, than DraftKings. Just missed it. Like, it didn't click with them.
I got it, and that's
like what. And I said when we did the deal, I'm like, exactly what I said in Chernin. Everyone's gonna sit around and be like, oh my God. Look at the price, look at what it is, and be like, why didn't we do that? It's so easy. And for whatever reason, it didn't. And we work with them closely. And I really do actually like the FanDuel guys, but it didn't click. Like, I see what they'll pay other. Jamie Foxx is a perfect example. Like, God knows how much they paid them.
I wonder if I can look into it. I wonder if it's in the filings, but it's probably not.
But it's like he's an A-list movie star. We're not. We're different. We're more approachable. Like I've always said, if you go out with us, we can't move. Whether it's me, Dan, whoever it may be, Alex, we are so more relevant. But people come up to us, treat us as friends. Like you don't go up to Jamie Foxx because it's intimidating. To us, you come up with it's like, oh, there's Dave. I know him, even if you don't know me.
Yeah, exactly. And I think when you're in Detroit, you're gonna have to wear a disguise if you don't want people to,
We went to Florida during COVID. I rented a house, and I remember we went.
That's where you hung out with Grutman.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. So we went there to get out of COVID. I just wanted outdoor space. BLM, the riots broke out, and they were like basically in my kitchen. So I'm like, I'm gonna stay in Florida a little bit longer until the city settles down. And I remember because of that, we didn't have a long-term lease, and everybody from New York was rental. We were doing week to week, and lots of people from New York were trying to get to Florida, so it was very hard to find houses. So we're moving every week. I remember our broker showed us a house, and the pool was kind of open, like you could see it from the street. And she had no idea what we were. I'm like, we can't stay here. Our fans will be in the streets watching us. She's like, DJ Khaled lives right down the road. Like, he has no problem. It's like, it's different. And sure enough, our crowd, bros, showing up, waiting for us the second we leave. It's just a different crowd base. And it's good, but it's very different.
Yeah. Do you have security that you?
No, I'm not a security guy. Although, unfortunately, at times, like I thought about it a little bit, and then I had someone in the bushes taking pictures of me, people showing up around the clock, someone yelling in my backyard at like midnight about stocks of all things. So it has gotten a little bit much, but I also am getting more careful. Like I used to say where I was, where I lived, I was just an open book. A little bit more careful now with privacy.
Welcome back to I don't know what section we're on. What's a day in the life of David fucking Portnoy?
Really varies.
Should I say fucking? Do you guys not like that? What's a day in the life of David Portnoy?
It really varies the season. So like right now, football is an important part. But I wake up, I try to do the Davey Day Trader from about 9:20 to 10.
What time do you get up at?
Probably like 7, 8, depends on when I go to bed.
Okay.
Because it depends on towards the weekend I'm watching football and I'm doing that. So
do you check your email on your bed on your phone?
Yes, all the time. That's a problem. I gotta put it away, and I'll start checking
messages?
stocks. No, not really text. But the problem with the stock market, I had so much in it. Once it opened at 6 a.m. or whatever, I'm like, I can't put it down.
Where do you check it? In the TradeZero app?
Yes. Yep. So I do that. Then I come to the office. The middle of the week, we're just recording. It's football shows, podcasts.
Do you get anxiety when you're recording and not being able to check your email throughout it?
No. Nope. Not really.
Any urgent
No, we record very differently. So if I want to check it, I'll check it. I don't care about that. And then Thursday or Wednesday night, Thursday morning, I go to Philadelphia and I'll be there till either Sunday night or Monday morning, betting on sports, promoting the app. And in between, there's meetings of all sorts of things. So,
are you cool with doing the commute thing right now?
Yeah, I don't mind. It's like an hour on the train. It's pretty easy.
Got it. And you're single right now.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're not look at me do you want to have kids? Do you?
I mean, I would have kids if the situation was right. But it's not something I'm wake up. It's oh, time to have kids. I'm getting old. I don't think like that.
You don't think like that?
One day at a time.
Yep. Now going to a gambling question. I know it's fresh, but the Buffalo Bills Arizona Cardinals game, was that the worst gambling loss of your life, or what was?
I've had bad ones, but I can't recall anything quite like that recently. And it was almost double because I had the money line, not the spread, which I thought about when I placed the bet. But it was about a 25, 30 grand difference if the Bills won the game versus if they covered. And the spread was 3. So I'm like, you know what? I think the smart move here is to go money line. And obviously it wasn't by the way it ended.
It's unreal. It was 98% to be over, the percent.
It was an unbelievable play. It's a play on that. The benefit, once the money aspect goes away, I'm part of history. In a negative way, I'll never forget it, ever.
Never. Okay. Do you have any superstitions when it comes to gambling? Do you wear the same underwear?
I have a million superstitions, but they're all on the fly. There's nothing I go into the game, but we have a new guy from Mississippi, Ben Mintz, who's a super nice guy. And I fucking hate him right now because he changed the channel on Sunday of a game I was winning. it was UCLA. UCLA, who are they playing? Cal. And I had the over. It was 27-7. He changed the TV, and they didn't score the rest of the game, and it ruined my whole day. And I legit hate him because of that. So I do have superstitions.
Okay, I got it. What do you think? Well, you bet. I think you said an anonymous, a Michigan alumni. You bet on Wisconsin to beat Michigan. Was that you're the anonymous Michigan? Okay, maybe not.
Maybe.
But,
maybe not.
We don't have to go there. But what would the Davey day trader? What would you? What should Michigan do? We want here. What should Michigan do? Because
you got to get rid of Harbaugh, and I was a Harbaugh guy, and I was defending him for a long time. And really, when it changed, was not this loss to Wisconsin. It was the year before. They got just absolutely embarrassed in
Ohio State.
No, by Wisconsin in Madison. It was 28-0 at halftime. And we've become a less version. Like, if you want to just get blown out by Ohio State every year, fine. Ohio State's a premier program. It was the opposite when we were there. But when you've literally become just a mid-rung team, it can't get worse. So you got to get rid of them. We interviewed a guy, Pat Hill, who I would love to go there, old Fresno State coach. Deion Sanders, who we do stuff with. I don't think he'd go to warm weather. I think he'd be awesome. I think he's going to be an awesome Division I coach at some point. And I like the Coastal Carolina coach. But you got to get rid of Harbaugh. Got to get rid of him.
And there's no way in a million years that Urban Meyer would go there, right?
I have no idea. I mean, if you paid him enough money, I think he's a scumbag, so he's, potential to do anything.
Okay.
I mean, Luke Fickell is another name. I don't know that he'd ever go there.
Yeah, no, that would be. It's an interesting. I mean, they have such good talent. The player, they're good.
Do
good
they?
Players. Oh well. So when they high school, they say 4 stars. I don't know.
I mean, I saw a stat they showed during the last game that in the Lloyd Carr era, like 25 skill position draft picks in the NFL, and under Harbaugh they have like 8. So I mean, that's a huge drop off.
You were there for a national championship, though.
I was.
Did you go?
Fake.
Well, it's shared, right?
I mean, it was shared. It wasn't. Okay. It wasn't. In the way they do it now, where it's one, they should have won because Nebraska tied, and they just. Yeah. But it wasn't, the BCS Bowl where you go play.
Did you go on the field? Did you go on the field at all, like in Michigan?
I was a nobody. I mean, how would I ever get on the? I went on the field.
They rushed the field. Everyone rushed the field when we beat at home at Ohio State.
No, I didn't. I think I may have even sold that ticket.
Oh, okay. I have the. Go ahead. What you're saying?
Well, I think it was home. But that was like Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Okay. You're friends with Tom Brady, right?
Like friends is a word I would describe. He may say acquaintances, but yes.
Yeah, but if Tom Brady saw you, he's like, hey, Dave. Yeah, he knows.
He'd say hello to me.
Okay.
Yes.
This is a true story. Tom Brady cried in tears to me, and 2 other friends. I thought it was a dream that I had, and then one day, like 4 years ago, we discussed it, and we all remember it. We were sitting outside Steve's Backroom Pizza. I don't know if it was a game we lost Wisconsin or Ohio. Yeah. When we were in school, all the players went into Rick's downstairs. Yeah. Tom Brady was out Steve's Backroom, sitting on the little park bench, that little picnic bench. Yeah. He sat there like in tears after they lost the game to us. I should have known then that with that kind of passion.
What do you mean they lost the game to us?
Michigan lost to, I don't know which game it was. It was in 98. It was in 98, I think.
That sounds like a story you're saying is true and you got 4 people believe it, but it sounds unbelievable.
I know it does.
Because why, to be at Rick's late
I want to talk to Tom Brady about it so bad because this guy Dave and Jeff, he sat outside. He didn't go to Rick's. The players went to Rick's. He was outside Steve's Backroom sitting on a picnic bench in tears after they lost this big game.
Sounds like a story I would call bullshit.
Okay,
who knows?
I don't know. I want to ask him. All right, how does someone get your attention if they want a job at Barstool?
You got to be creative. I remember.
What's the craziest thing that someone done?
I mean, YP, our outdoors guy, he made a rap video on YouTube, and it looked like he mimicked to the T. So our office, the way I talked, he had my shirts, the background, and it was. He put it on we have a Reddit page where people go bananas. He put it on the Reddit page, I think. It made its way to me. I commented on it. He jumped in a car from St. Louis with a bunch of exotic animals. That caught my attention. It's almost...
That's unbelievable.
We've had a whole different way. Like Coach Doug's, who we just hired, was an imaginary coach that Dan Big Cat was playing EA Sports College Football and made this guy up. Coach Doug's happened to look like the fake character and started going to the different stadiums. Like if Dan was playing the video game like Tennessee versus USC, Coach Doug's would go to USC and pretend he was the coach and do press conferences. That caught our attention. So it's just most people are like, hey, trust me, I'm funny, I want to work there. It's like, join the club, dude. You have to somehow be creative. And just showing up A lot of people think that means just showing up outside my house, outside the office, just showing up and I'm going to interview. That's not how it works. You have to be unique. You have to be creative without being like pushy.
Stalkerish.
Yeah, right. It's a fine line.
It's a
very
fine line
difficult.
because the other part is like they do that crazy like the thing that the guy was saying they put on Reddit. But how does he get you to discover the rap? I mean, that's also
and it took a while. You just got to be creative. I remember when I started Barstool, I said I would get back to every single person who emailed me. Obviously, I don't even check my email now. It's just like too much.
Was your attitude like some people didn't give you the opportunity?
Yes.
And you want I wanted to work at a hedge fund, and I said if I ever get this business successful, I will always get back. But the thing is, if someone emails 3 bullet points how they can help impact the outcome or whatever, then you're way more apt,
Correct.
You probably get emails that are like,
the number one thing we get is just trust me, I'm funny. It's my dream job. But like that does no good. And the beauty of where we are now, the internet, you don't need me to prove it. Like go prove it without us and show the results.
right, yeah, exactly.
Like how are we gonna help? So many people like, I'll kill it. I have so many ideas. Well, go do it. Like you. Why do you have to be with us to do it? You don't have a video camera, you can't do it.
So that's the easiest job resume.
Right.
So I did it, and I want to be with you. Okay, all right. Couple of last few. What? Okay, where to go with? I know how the President Trump interview come about, and then what's the coolest experience of your life?
So Trump, I was in Nantucket. That's my month I take off, July, and I got a call. It was Wednesday, late Wednesday, and they're like, "Hey, Donald Trump wants you to come interview him in the Rose Garden." And I was like, what? And the interview was the next day. I've never interviewed anybody, but it was the President of the United States. So I was like, all right, if this is really how, I didn't really believe it. Turned out after he did that was part of his strategy. He was doing a lot of things with like internet people, but I was kind of the first. So that was super cool. Coolest experience, lately. So when I sold to Chernin, they asked me 2 business influences, and I said Rob Dyrdek, who I thought turned just skateboarding into a lifestyle brand in multiple vehicles. I'd like to meet him actually one day. And the other was Jimmy Buffett, I was a gigantic parrot head, still am. Like in high school, I dressed the car as a shark, go to the concerts. Lately, I did a Zoom with him, probably during COVID. Someone asked me to host a benefit, and it was there, and I was like, all right, host it, what is it? And it was, the artists were Kygo, Tiesto, and I'm like, okay, and then like Jimmy Buffett. So I'm like, all right, I'm in, don't say anymore. This thing never happened, the concert, but I did do a Zoom with Jimmy, and got to talk to him for 20, and now we kind of stay in contact. Like he sent me an email the other day, and it's surreal because he's been like my guy growing up. And then whenever someone asks like, who would you want to meet? I'd always be like Jimmy Buffett. Like
that's amazing.
So that has been surreal for me.
That's
and his
awesome.
emails, by the way, write like his songs. They're long and like storytelling-ish. It's like wild.
And you read them all.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You love it.
He could tell me like, I'm very aware of when people are trying to get like free advertising or do this. And sometimes he's like promoting out. He could tell me like, hey, I need you to do a Jimmy Buffett takeover for free just because I said so. I'd be like, okay, it's done.
Were you into rap when you were younger too, though?
No, not huge.
So it wasn't like, okay, but you were into Jimmy Buffett.
Huge Jimmy Buffett.
Was your dad into it?
No, not really. The 2 business, I was either going to go with a business route in my brain or to an island and be like a bartender and take it easy. I obviously went the business route, but his entire like shtick of like the beach bum music and all that just resonated with me.
Okay, got it. And that was before college and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. All right. I know you said you would never really consider it, but that shirt, the hat, is kind of, running for president with Elon Musk. I know you said you would never want to be president, but if something came to shove and Elon Musk came to you and whatever, would you?
I would do it as a publicity stunt. I would never follow through and want to be president. Never.
What about vice president, Elon president?
No, I would never. I asked Trump this question, like you seemingly had a pretty good life and nobody like hated you before you ran for president. Now you're like the most despised human by a lot of people in the world. Like, what is it worth it? For me, it's not worth it. Like, why? I want to enjoy my life. There's nothing that seems like enjoyable. And I am not some philanthropist, or I butchered that word, but I am not some guy who's like, I want to exist, at least not now, for the betterment of mankind. I want to exist for the betterment of Dave Portnoy and people who are important to Dave Portnoy. And if I don't know you, I don't really have some human need to, like, I'm into my thing right now.
Totally get it. I totally get it. Now, I know we talk about Dance with the Stars, but what about The Bachelor? Did they ever come and approach you?
They have not. I'm friends with Chris Harrison. I wouldn't do that. I would do that with one exception, and it's probably too much anyways. I am super close with my ex, and I wouldn't want her to have to see any of that. So even though I joke and talk, I still try to keep my private life private, and that's a big reason.
Isn't that so
why.
hard for you though? Because
It is hard. But I mean, if you look, it's not really out there.
It is not. No, it's not. But you and your ex-wife are like best friends.
Correct.
I find that more common these days. I mean, I don't know.
We're very friendly.
Yeah.
And she was with me from day one, so it's like I probably trust her more than any other person who exists.
Got it. Yeah. So that's why you don't want to be out there.
Yeah, because it's still weird. Like I won't want to see her necessarily like all over TV dating somebody.
Okay. Last few, I promise. But if you played, do you think you could hit a Major League Baseball pitcher? I know you're a baseball
If you
guy.
let me, age aside, I don't know how much my like reflexes and skills have changed. But if you let me prepare for it, like get back in the swing of playing baseball, yes.
Okay. If you played LeBron one-on-one, would you score?
No, no chance.
What about Roger Goodell?
Would I score on him in one-on-one? Yes, 100% yes.
You still do not like both of these? Do you not?
They're very different. LeBron's never acknowledged my existence, and it's a lot of it. I just read stuff. I don't know him at all, and it's a Celtics rivalry. If he turned around, I was like, I like Barstool. I like you too, LeBron. Goodell's far more personal.
Yep.
So I don't know that he'd ever say that. You know, I won that charity auction that he backed out of. Would have been interesting.
That's probably one of the best. I mean, you don't stop. You always have these moves. Like it's like you're always playing chess or playing like.
He's easy to play chess worse. But again, if Goodell was probably put his arm around me like, yeah, you that clown shirt, I like it. I'd probably like him too.
Okay. All right. Now this is a strange question. Would you relate Ross Gerber and Suitman at all? Like, could you see any similarities to Gerber and Suitman?
No. Again, Ross, I was fine with him when he did the podcast. Suitman really interfered with our business in a devious way.
Suitman, I mean, that goes down. I mean, it's one of the best, that's another story how people discovered you. I hear the story told. I mean, you stuck to your conviction, your values on the Suitman thing.
Yes.
And you won out. I mean,
whether people like me or hate me, I've almost never heard anybody say, Dave's a liar, or Dave doesn't tell the truth, or Dave's not straight. The complaint will maybe be he's too blunt. He says things that are like, he could couch things better or be nicer. But I always tell the truth. I've always said most of the arguments that I've been in, I've ended up winning or being on the right side because it's easy to win when truth is always on your side. The whole Caller Daddy and Suitman, we were on the right side from the jump. So once it comes out, anybody who's rationally doesn't have a pre-existing bias, he's clearly telling the truth.
Yeah. I mean, the thing you may do on Twitter is not tell the truth, but you may make jokes with it, by calling people suits, which I think is freaking hilarious because it puts it.
Well, yeah, and there's always the line. I mean, there's things that I clearly are joking. If people want to say they're like serious, they're not.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Now, a couple, Jim Cramer. What do you say about Jim Cramer?
I love Jim. So Jim and I have a legitimate friendship. He took me, I went to the Eagles-Patriots game in his box. I think he's brilliant. I think he's a trailblazer. And I'm a huge fan of his.
I think he's like one of the most impressive guys, work ethic, gets up at 3 freaking in the morning.
He's exactly how he is on TV in person. Like a mile a minute talking, genuine, nice guy. And there isn't a ton of people that I would say I would go to for advice or I truly consider myself now a friend with. I've met through this. He's one of them. I truly like him.
I went in my email from way back in the day before Jim Cramer had his own show. He was on a show with Larry Kudlow.
Yep.
I emailed into this is me being my early 20s. I emailed into CNBC. Can Jim Cramer please have his own show? Can Jim Cramer please have his own show? He had a radio show at the time, and he was to me
Trailblazer. I mean, Mad Money is a trailblazing show.
100%, and he should have had it years in advance.
Yep.
And I just listened to a story from him, and he's like, the old CEO didn't want him to have his own show. He didn't think of people. It's like you. I think you're a trailblazer, and you should have a TV network. Like the Barstool should be on TV, and the Sirius satellite. I mean, hopefully that deal's being worked out.
Yeah, TV. A lot of it, people are afraid of, and it's no different than our deal probably with why it didn't happen with FanDuel or DraftKings. We are different. We'll say things that could get you in hot water. So nobody wants to be the person who made if you can just do the norm and stay with the playbook, you're not going to get in trouble. If you go with us, whether it be average, whatever, the ceiling is much higher, but there's also a little bit of risk. So that's like TV. Imagine me on a stock show. I'd kill it. It would be by far the number one show. But people are conservative.
I mean, I was almost annoyed with your morning show because I had to sit there. I'm trying to grow Benzinga, and I had to watch you. People are like, we have a phone call. I'm like, I can't do it. So it was like 9:30. I'm talking about when you first started.
Right.
You were on and it was the best.
And
it was the best.
Right.
And you were using that Periscope. I didn't know why you were using Periscope. Why didn't you put it on your own website? But maybe you have a deal. I don't know. But
no, the Periscope would go to the website, and it was kind of off the cuff, but
it was the best. If you think about viewership and eyes and eyeballs, you attracted eyeballs.
Right.
You would say, and then you'd go, and then Stuart Varney, you'd say, I'm going to be on Stuart Varney for this. And they bring in for 4 minutes, but they didn't ask
No, I haven't been on since. I was on that show a lot beforehand, and then he asked me to come on. I assumed it was going to be the stock because of the stock show. He didn't even ask me about the stocks. I said to him, this is wildly insulting.
So you did say that. When you meet a celebrity, it's the only memory you have for them for a long time. So if you meet it, it's like you're a celebrity. So when people meet you, if that one time you meet them and you're in a bad mood, they're going to remember that forever.
Right. Yep.
At University of Michigan, Stuart Varney came to speak at Jack Welch was there, and he was one of the things. So I'm in one of these rooms. I snuck into the VIP room at Jack Welch, and Stuart Varney did one of these to me. I was so excited to meet him. I'm this 19-year-old kid, right? And I go talk to him, and he's like, just wait right there. You know, one of those things, and you wait right there. Yeah. He goes, I'll be right back. And they don't come back.
You never get back.
I just stayed there. Yeah. I'm still sitting there. Yeah. And that's all I think when I see Stuart Varney. He blew me off of that.
Liked him. I have really liked him every time I met, but I've started busting his balls because then he equated me to a taxi cab driver too. But I do like Stuart.
Yeah, well, he still tells me to wait right there. I'm still fucking waiting. I don't know what to say. All right, I almost missed this. Now, Mike Gruen would have kicked my ass. So what do you think about this Mike Gruen guy? And you're going to this younger audience now.
He's one of the most off-putting, obnoxious, but successful people. He's starting to grow on me. But he's got the sway house, and he's in this TikTok world. I didn't know what to make of this dude when I first met him. I'm like, this guy is a piece of work. But what I like about Mike Gruen, he'll own it. He's like, yeah, no, I get it. That's how I am. We're trying to stay relevant. Barstool always tries to stay relevant. I think the biggest compliment, or if I'm patting myself on the back, the greatest thing Barstool's done is we've been legit, cutting edge, and relevant and cool for almost 2 decades. So hard to do that.
Unreal.
And we have to continue to do that in this TikTok thing. It's like, all right, what the hell's going on here? So the opportunity for me to get involved in that world presented itself. I'm now doing it. The show is, he has he's backing up a lot of what he says. He's just an interesting dude.
And he loves Bitcoin.
You think?
Oh my, yeah. So he loves. Okay, so then Josh Richards, you went out there. You did the video without your shirt on.
Yep.
Which was freaking hilarious. It went viral, and you already have 1.6 million TikTok followers in under 6 months.
Yeah. So TikTok has been growing fast. I can't grow on Instagram. They've shadow banned.
Oh, they take you.
The second I did anything, well, I don't know how they do it. Some people say it's an algorithm and they just search the entire internet, and there's a lot of bad shit on me on the internet. Stuff that if I read, I'd be like, oh, this guy's fucking Hitler. It's all written from a small group of people who fucking hate me.
Then there's some group that tries to call you.
Deadspins of the world, basically.
Yeah, and why? Why are they?
I have no idea. They're crazy. I mean, I used to think they're not crazy, but they are.
I go with the notion that everyone's a hater, but then, or when they're jealous or something.
It's a combo, and I honestly think Trump broke people's brains. Almost everybody who hates me, if you go 5 tweets deep, it's somehow political. And I always say we're just trying to be funny and interesting. And people are always surprised when it's my dad fucking hates Trump more than anyone in the people have this vibe of me that I'm
some big Republican.
Yeah, or a crazy conservative. It's just not true.
I would personally guarantee if Joe Biden called you to go on the interview,
100%.
you'd be there in 5 seconds.
100%.
5 seconds. That's what's so messed up.
It's not even, and we've tried. We reach out, CNBC, anything, but it's a crazy world. So that's, I think, a lot of where it stems from. And they take things, like, for a while, I could be my worst enemy because we get into these disputes, and there was one female journalist in particular at Deadspin at the time who I think is legitimately Looney Tunes. I always give this preface. She wrote an article, Drew Brees broke the passing record, and his 2 sons on the field, the mother's holding his daughter, and Drew just is caught on mic saying, see boys, if you set your mind to it, you can do anything. She wrote a hit piece saying, how did he not say that to his daughter? That to me is a lunatic thing. So this girl wrote a million negative things about me. And they weren't just like, I don't like what he says about this. They were like personal, like, how could anybody marry him? His ex-wife must stink or something to that effect. He's an angry, like, snivelly raisin. Over and over. I didn't get mad. It's like, okay, I kind of actually like this. She's like talking how we do. She's in the arena. So I finally addressed it. And I put a clip from Seinfeld, which I know you must be a Seinfeld guy, and it's George Costanza. Any woman who hates me this much comes around once in a lifetime. So I put the clip, I'm like, she hates me so much, I want to date her. And they turn that into like I'm sexually harassing her. And then when they do that, I double down. I'm like, oh, that just makes me like you more. So it's almost like 2 different worlds. It's like, how are you taking what I'm saying seriously when it's me 100 times before I said it? So, but it spirals. And the same people write those articles and they lead to more articles. And, I'm trying to get better with it and only get involved when it really, really matters because we have this deal with Penn. Like AOC, who was another one, politician, who in my mind, like we did the whole union thing, was a huge deal. And to me, it was very much a joke here at Barstool. Like, unions, I basically like, oh, they're gonna create, like to what you said, I work my ass off. I give these people jobs, they fire unions, I'll break it in 2 seconds. Said off the cuff, and it was like Deadspin did a union. I'm like, well, if you're talented, you don't need a union in this space because you can just go somewhere else. It became a huge thing. AOC jumped into it. I didn't even really know who she was. I'm like, oh, this is gonna go viral, this is a click. So I got involved. But it became a big thing when we did the Penn deal, is don't get in arguments with government officials because they ultimately, gambling commissions, all this shit. So AOC, almost as a test from God, right before the Penn deal was about to be done, she tweeted at me again. And I just bit my tongue and ignored it. It was almost like Jay Snowden, the CEO of Penn, somehow orchestrated it to be like, all right, he says he's not going to do it, let's test him. Because that was...
And you bit your tongue.
I bit my tongue.
Yeah, I mean, that's, now these are the final ones. Nelk Boys, you were in California. Anything coming with the Nelk Boys?
We'd like to work with them.
They have really...
They've blown up.
Those guys are freaking hilarious.
I mean, it's an interesting group. They've blown up.
They've blown up. I've watched them for pranks are good.
Not my cup of tea for content, but they've blown up.
Yeah, I mean, they
young.
They went on Trump's plane.
Yep, yeah, everybody. That's when I knew Trump was doing everything. Trump wanted to do another pizza review. He did something with, not Clay, but the other guy. Who's his buddy there? I forget.
Dana White. I mean,
they were everywhere. No, but their audience is young. But yes.
Yeah. Okay. And how do you ever get anxiety? Do you ever get anxiety? Like, do you ever? You have so many people that rely on you or whatever. Does that become a thing?
I get like mad.
Or when you started the company, you didn't have money. Were you freaking out?
Yes, much more so. I thought the company was going to go out of business when we did a concert tour. Like
so you got anxiety then?
Yes, it's like because my personality. It's like we did one concert tour, very successful. I reinvested it, put a lot of money into it, bought all these arenas. I was 4-walling concerts basically. So I was in each venue for maybe 200, $250,000, and we weren't selling tickets. And it's like if I'm held to have to pay all this, we're done. They let you out with penalties. We lost money. It didn't go under. Now, financially, I think I'm pretty secure, but I'm tenacious, and not to be like, hey, buy Penn stock because I'm a Penn holder.
It was so good. It's the last 30 seconds of that video. It starts with a P, that you're not persistent. It was a much stronger word, and I don't want to steal their words. I didn't write it down, but I can't remember.
I'm maniacal, and it's like, My favorite clip is like Brady and the Brady Six when he's like crying about the people who passed over him. Like I have that.
I think he was crying when he was talking to me outside.
Yeah, right. It maybe based on that. It's like the champagne bottles in my office, the enemy names. It's
fucking sweet.
It's just that is what I said it at HBO. It's like what motivates me. It's every single fucking person is like nope, and I don't care that we've gotten bigger because we're in a bigger field. So like Ross Gerber, not that he believes it, but like the people like Penn stock sucks and this is like all right, you're on the scorecard.
Yep.
It's like the Happy Madison, the list of people.
Were you in school? Like, was it people told you no that you couldn't get stuff, and like it made you want to like when they told my parents I'd never be able to read in first grade.
Yeah.
And so like, is that like was the thing?
No.
Okay, it wasn't that.
No.
It was just now you want to prove all the haters wrong or people that pass it. It's just a mentality. How many DMs do you get a day? Instagram, Twitter, or is it tons? Is it?
I haven't.
You don't check it?
No, I do check it because what's changed over the course of time, like what separated Barstool when we started was we would get content nobody else had because we had loyal fans with videos. And so the first thing people would send it to us for tips at Barstool, email. I checked email fanatically. Then it moved to Facebook. People would message us. Now Instagram is how people send like pizza places, weird videos. So I do check it, but it's hard to keep up. Like if every single time I press refresh, if I press refresh, look at the messages, say there's 10 of them, and I press refresh again 20 seconds later, there's another 10. It's just,
oh my God.
It's nonstop.
So don't you get anxiety to look at all that shit? No?
I just scroll through quick, and if something catches the head.
All right, last question.
Yep.
Okay, this is the hour-and-a-half interview. Thank you so much for spending time. You're the fucking man. The last question is, tell us one thing or something that no one knows about Dave Portnoy, if you could think of it. And if this is a bad question, then we'll change it up to something else. But something that no one knows that they'd be surprised to know, or about Barstool, anything. Or everyone knows everything because you're just so honest and truthful. That'd be.
I'm very honest and truthful. I feel like the people who really follow Barstool know me very, very well. The thing that would surprise, I guess, is I feel like I think the people who don't like me, for them, I'm probably one of the more misunderstood people there. Like there is. It's ironic that the people who fucking generally hate me, I feel like if you laid out how they look at the world, I tend to be closer with how they look at the world than the enemies, but they hate me so much, and it makes me hate them too. But yeah, it's everything I do is an open book. So those would be the people. Like the people who don't like me just have no clue who I am.
Got it, and they just don't. And they don't want to seek to understand.
They don't read into it.
Yeah, because when you like, whatever, like you just have to read into it and understand the story.
It's one of my favorite quotes I use a lot, which is still like the New York Times or New York Magazine, I forget who it was, did a big story on us, and the guy who came in was doing it on PMT, when PMT, not that it has changed, it was really blowing up, and everyone's like, what the fuck, it's the #1 podcast in the country. Yep. And he came in doing it on them, and it ended up being a much larger piece on Barstool when he saw there was way more. Like, when PMT first launched, there were people who like didn't even know it was part of Barstool. They're like getting introduced to Barstool. But he did a story, and he had a quote, and he's like, all my friends, he didn't like me, and he may have changed a little bit, but he's like, all my friends who I consider Northeast liberal, highly educated people, when I ask them if they like Barstool, they're all like, yeah, we love it. And he's like, I'm stunned by that. And then I ask them, how could you like it? And they're like, well, we've been following it for like 15 years, so we know who he is. So I feel like anybody who has watched the story, has watched what we've done, sees how we react in serious situations versus not serious situations, generally, like, they're pretty good guys.
And Howard Stern kind of followed the same thing. People hated him at first, and then loved him. And I think that's true.
Even like the Erica hiring, which I still hear you hired her because it's a woman. It's a blatant lie. I'll never prove it to the people who don't believe it, but it's like we interviewed 70 men. I met her by accident. We hit it off.
Yeah.
Had nothing to do with it. We had a female website before anyone knew who we were. It's Stool Allah, Jenna Marbles, one of the great YouTube stars now. I hired her out of a tanning salon, and we're like, hey, you're good. Paid her just as much as the guys, and broke off. We had Barstool Sports and Stool Allah. Stool Allah, we would post a pretty girl, she'd post a hot guy. There is, like, when people like your sex is like, you just hired Erica to show that you have women. It's like, well, how do you explain what we did before anyone knew who we were? The only reason Jenna doesn't work here, she blew up and became a major star.
Yeah.
We helped her. How is that?
You built, yeah.
So it people were misunderstood by the people who hate us.
No, and Eric, yeah, and I reached out to the banker that introduced you to Erica. Someone connected you at a coffee shop or something.
Yeah, Betsy Morgan.
I wrote her when I heard that. I wrote her like.
Even Mike Kearns, I had on my podcast. He forgot. He thought. I was like, "What are you crazy?"
Because Betsy's been involved with a lot of these media companies, and so people.
It was crazy. I was like, "What are you talking about, Kearns? That's not at all how it happened."
Well, congrats, man, on
Thank
what you
you.
built. It's quite an honor to be here with you guys, and this place is freaking amazing. From your basement to this. I mean, when I say this, we're gonna have some B-roll around the building. It's freaking insane. And you have an office in Philly now, or a house, or something.
Yeah, house. Although we're not allowed to be in it anymore, but
why?
The new COVID lockdown restrictions in Philly. It's like if it's not like your primary residence, you can't have more than like 5 people in there or something.
Well, you should just move above in one of those pizza shops. That guy you talked to.
Angelo's.
Yeah, he was really nice. Is that the guy No, I don't know. The guy that you talked to in Philly, his whole family, the recipe, and you called like 5 times to order the pizza.
Oh, that's John's.
Yeah, he was nice.
John's Roast Pork. They're shut down because of COVID on their own accord. At least they were.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, these guys, I know you guys got the airplane. Thank you. Here, will you guys take, we're good. Will you guys take a photo of us and shit?
Yep.